Thank you, everybody, for joining us back here at Tacen's channel. We have a very special guest for you guys today as we sit here with the lead settlements team engineer, Arseniy Klempner. Arseniy, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, and I'm real curious about learning more about your role and everything in the company. But beforehand, let me know about some of your past experience, journey that kind of led you up to where you are working with Tacen now.
Sure. So I graduated with a bachelor's degree in computer science back in 2016. And immediately after graduation, I started working with a mechanical contracting company. And I was basically on track to become what would be a mix of an in-house developer and IT specialist, as well as a controls engineer. But on the side, I was looking at picking up contracting work. And as I searched around, one of the things I discovered was Ethereum. And I had heard of Bitcoin at that point, but I didn't spend too much time looking into it. But I was very drawn by the idea of smart contracts, the fact that you could have programmable money. And so I would spend a lot of my free time learning more. And then I started doing Solidity tutorials and I started contributing to open source projects. So I was probably one of the first contributors to a project called Open Zeppelin, besides the two founders. I was one of the first people who found the project and started pushing code. And I guess they liked what I did and offered me a contracting position with them. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm just going to go into smart contract development full time.
Wow.
And from then on, I tried doing my own startup. This was actually in India, and a problem there at the time is that it was really difficult to purchase cryptocurrency. This was back in 2017. So we wanted to build a peer-to-peer marketplace where people could post ads that would use Solidity smart contracts as an escrow system. That didn't work out for various reasons. And then after that, I basically consulted for all sorts of different projects. Usually I would join them during their earlier stages. For example, with Winding Tree, which was, and they're still around. They're a travel company or a blockchain-based protocol for travel-related transactions. Then I also worked with the Graph early on, and I helped them come up with a prototype for what was called what I believe is now called their curation network. And then later on, I switched from a developer role to more of like a technical due diligence role with Status Incubate, which was an incubator program run by the project status.im. So in that role, I was more focused on one, helping the existing incubatee projects with any technical problems, whether it was reviewing their code, reviewing their smart contracts, or just talking with them about certain architectural ideas. And I'd also interview applicants. And do technical due diligence on any materials they provided. So I did that for a little bit, and as I started looking at some of these projects, I kind of started growing distraught with the space, just based on the quality of some of the applicants.
What year was this?
This was in 2018.
Yeah, that was a bad time.
Yeah, late 2018. Yeah, so it kind of made me kind of like question what before was I was like very inspired and motivated by the idea of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. And then kind of after that experience, I questioned it. And so for a while, I stopped working in the space and just spent my own time exploring other technologies, other projects. I learned a bit of deep learning. I delved a little more into mathematics and how it relates to functional programming. And eventually I discovered a project called Urbit, which I found technically like very fascinating. And they were also an interesting blend between, they weren't quite a crypto project at the time, but were adjacent to the space. And it was through Urbit that I actually first came in contact with Jay. He helped me set up uh my planet, or rather he helped me migrate my planet to his star, which is basically, it's almost like he let me move my client to a server, although it's not quite how it works. Um, and then, yeah, and then we didn't really speak for a while till I saw him post in Urbit that he was looking for a Solidity developer. This was in uh 2020. It was September 2020. And at that point, I wasn't actively looking for another Solidity position, but when I saw that it was, someone from the Urbit community and someone I had talked with before, I thought, okay, I'll see what he's about, what he's trying to do. And I really liked Jay's approach. And I was like I was very impressed with how many different aspects of a project he was of a crypto, in our case, a cryptocurrency exchange, how many different aspects he was knowledgeable in, specifically like legal and compliance side and the technical side. And I thought that, okay, I feel like I could learn a lot. And after joining, the more and more time I spent working with Jay and understanding the project, the more and more excited I'd become. And yeah, so I started out mostly just doing smart contract development. Since then, my role has grown to more of a lead engineer. So I'll usually have a couple engineers that I manage, and I've focused more on the specifications and architectural design now. So I'm one of the co-authors of the TXA white paper. Mm-hmm. And right now, most of my time is spent researching and writing materials that eventually end up either in the TXA white paper or that become the specifications that will lead to the code that'll be contributed to the TXA repository.
Interesting. So you got involved at as an actual career into blockchain way before almost anybody else did. I would say definitely one of the first ones I've talked to yet who got involved as like becoming a Solidity developer. That's impressive. Also heard that it's a very difficult language to learn. Is that true?
The language itself isn't difficult. Developing with the language is difficult. It's become easier over time because the tooling around it has improved and the language itself has improved. And it's still not even, the thing is, it's also still very young. It's not even a 1.0 language. I think they just got to 0.9 and it's been around for, I think it will almost be a decade at some point. No, so my frustrations were less with the language itself and more with the EVM that it runs on top of, and all the different kinds of constraints that it poses, and the lack of visibility in certain areas. But at the same time, I enjoyed it because I feel like constraints inspire creativity, and with Solidity, you end up you oftentimes you're writing code that's in ways a bit simpler than your average program, but because even though it's simple, you have to be extremely careful and extremely precise in order to avoid any bugs that could cause, losses of many millions of dollars.
Yeah. There's a lot at stake here, and I guess that's why there was a lot of testing involved, and people weren't going to launch anything. So I guess, yeah, let's turn things to that side of the conversation then. So what do you expect to be happening with you guys in 2023? What are you excited about?
I'm excited for the open alpha for the HDEX. So this will be the first hybrid decentralized exchange running on top of the TXA protocol. I'm most excited for that because then people will finally get to trade using TXA, and they'll get to experience what it's like to trade just as quickly as on a centralized exchange, but with the security of smart contract based custody.
Yeah, that's impressive. And I would say now more than ever, that's something people would be looking for.
Yeah, I'm also extremely excited for the for some of the lobbying work that Tacen has done for Wyoming to create the Wyoming Stable Token Act. I believe that if this goes through and Wyoming actually decides to create its own stable token, it will change the cryptocurrency space.
Ooh, that does sound interesting. Now, I was thinking about picking up some land in West Virginia, but you might be convincing me to finally go out west, like I guess a lot of people did a couple hundred years ago. I might join
It's
you
still
guys.
a frontier. It's still a frontier town. Before it was a frontier for land. Now it's a frontier for the digital economy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm very interested to hear more about that, Arseniy. So please don't let this be the only time you come on. I'll be happy to talk to you about other things. And if anyone has any questions, don't be afraid to send them over. But do you have any closing words before we go?
No, just thanks for having me. It was great talking to you, and until next time.
Until next time, and please have a wonderful day.
You too.